Life is a beautiful thing. We're all born, we all live, and we all die. And life is very precious. It is something that shouldn't be taken lightly. It is only one you are given, and you should show up for yourself each and every single day to the fullest of your capabilities, especially when things are bad. And what's truly unfortunate is that there's going to be many trials and tribulations now and throughout your life. There's going to be many challenges, many heartbreaks, many different forms of loss, many different shortcomings, many failures that you're going to go through, that I'm going to go through, that you may have already faced and that I have faced as well. Either alone or in the company of loved ones, there are going to be difficult, challenging aspects of your life that you're going to need to face. And I feel like it is especially more challenging as a man. And I'm not saying that women don't go through any challenges, but I'm speaking from my own perspective. And given the fact that I am a man, I can only speak from that perspective and truly understand that perspective in its entirety. And as a man, you're going to experience a lot of fucked up situations. And when you're going through these things, it's going to feel like the world is crashing all around you. You're going to feel like everything's out of your control. Maybe it is. Maybe you can't control it. You can't. There are going to be certain situations like that where you can't necessarily be in control of a given outcome or a given circumstance as well, which is truly unfortunate. There are going to be times where you lose, where you fail, where you land flat on your face, and you're expected to get up and perform regardless of how you're feeling or regardless of how bad the circumstances may be. And just know this, that no matter how bad a circumstance may seem or feel like to you, it is not the end of the world. Unless you're no longer breathing, unless you're no longer alive, you can still take necessary action each and every single day and take the steps that are going to help you make the situation better. You see, a lot of men in particular ask for an easy life, ask for a way out. They ask for circumstances to be different. But rather than doing this, because all this is doing is creating a sense of comfort, a sense of escape, and you feel like you're never in control of even your own life and how you can react to situations. So rather than asking for a handout, or rather than asking for things to be easy or for a solution to magically fall out of the sky and appear in front of you, instead of doing that, ask for courage, ask for guts, ask for clarity. You see, regardless of what the situation may be, we as men are going to have to act and show up for ourselves and show up for our loved ones at the end of the day. Because there are people that rely on you. You cannot act in a selfish way. You need to think about others and take others into consideration, because your actions and what you do actively affect the lives of others. And most importantly, they affect your life as well. They affect your life. And you can either show up, rise to the occasion, face whatever it is that you're facing with, whatever you're struggling with head on, or you can choose to crumble and choose to hide and cower in fear. And it's up for you to make that decision. You see, loss in particular is something that is going to be inevitable for you, for me, for everybody, because everybody has an expiration date. Everything has an expiration date. Nothing truly lasts forever. And that is why in the moment you must move with a sense of gratitude and with a sense of purpose, because nothing is ever promised. You could die tomorrow. I could die on my way home right now. Nothing is promised. And that is why you need to move and live and breathe with a sense of purpose and with a sense of urgency, because the time is ticking. The time is counting down. And before you know it, my expiration date is going to come to an end. Your expiration date is going to come to an end. And whatever is on the next side of the chapter will greet us. And we can either know that we lived our lives showing up for ourselves diligently each and every single day, knowing that we faced fear and that we faced all these challenges and all these hardships head on, courageously as a man, purposefully, wanting to improve our situation, wanting to be there for others and be there for ourselves at the best of our ability. That is what we want to feel. And you see, I know how hard it can be when you're going through loss and when you're going through bad situations, whether it can be a breakup, the losing of a loved one, the passing of a family member, or even your own circumstances, whatever you may be suffering with personally, whether it may be depression, whether it may be anxiety, whether it may be self-doubt, particularly self-doubt. And I feel like that just comes from a lot of young men comparing themselves to other men as well. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't compete, because as a man, you do want to compete and want to be better and want to actively challenge others and challenge yourself, most importantly. But everybody feels as if they're not worthy for greatness. And it's truly unfortunate. And greatness doesn't necessarily mean success, but it means in the way that we think, in the way that we act, and in the way that we go about our day-to-day lives, especially when we're going through hardships, and especially when we're going through loss, and especially when we feel like we can't gain control of our mind. Because you see, it's really easy to let your thoughts run wild and to be feeling as if you're out of control of your thoughts. And if you feel that way, then that's when you need to know that you need to step up. You need to rise to the occasion and stop letting your thoughts control you. Because you see, those are the only thing that you can truly control are your own thoughts and what you believe. It's really easy for me to say, oh, I'm fat. I can't succeed because all I do is ever eat. And I can't succeed because of my upbringing. And that's just me blaming shit. That's just me not wanting to take accountability for where I am in my current position of life. And the sooner that you're able to hold yourself accountable and hold yourself to a higher standard, that's when you can truly navigate it correctly and stop making excuses for all of your shortcomings. You need to own up for whatever you may be struggling with. And whether it's due to an external circumstance or whether it's something that is in your control and that you've put yourself in this own position, then you need to own up to it, recognize that you fucked up. You put yourself here. Nobody else did this to you. Nobody forced you to eat all those donuts. Nobody forced you to binge eat. Nobody forced you to watch porn all day. Nobody forced you to jack off. Nobody forced you to cheat on your girlfriend. Nobody forced you to do any of these negative things. Yet you decided to do them. So it's on you, my friend. And as soon as you recognize this, that's the first step. Because once you recognize that you are responsible for your own life and for your own actions, then that is when you can begin to do the work necessary to shift your perspective on all of these shortcomings and use them as fuel to put yourself in a better position and put yourself in an echelon that you want to be in, to be a man that you're proud to be. And I'm going to talk specifically about circumstances that you did right now. So, for example, me personally, I used to be overweight. I used to binge eat. I used to have a lot of addictive vices. And I always told myself that it wasn't my fault. I'm this way because of how I was brought up, because of what I experienced as a child, because of what I had to go through, because of what I saw, because of what I felt, and because of what I had to experience growing up. And I continued to do this for years, and it wasn't benefiting me at all. It was only doing me more harm than any good. And it got to the point where I was so low and I wouldn't do anything. All I was doing was just literally eating and going to my room and laying down for days. I had no motivation to do anything. I didn't want to improve my life. There'd be days where I wouldn't even shower, man. It was really bad. It was really bad. And it got to the point where I had truly accepted myself for who I was, for who I thought I was. And I knew that at the time, I knew that that was me. This is who I was. But that's not true. You see, thoughts are really powerful. And if it is to your own doing, if you are in a position because you put yourself there, because you did all the negative vices, because you had all the bad habits, because you didn't show up for yourself, then it's on you. And right now you may be blaming it on other circumstances, but the first step is to take credibility and to take and hold yourself accountable for all of your shortcomings and for all of your negative habits. That is the first step. And the second step is to delude. You see, when I decided to make a change and really move with haste, 110% all in on my own life and really take control, I had to tell myself that I was something that I wasn't at the time. And I had to just repeat it and really drive it into my head. For example, I would wake up each and every single morning and I would tell myself, I am healthy. I am grateful for my life. I do show up for myself and for others. I do eat healthy. I do have a physique that I'm proud to have, and I am more hardworking, and I am courageous, and I am confident when I go out and about and experience my life. I would tell myself this. And at first, I felt like I was just straight up lying to myself, genuinely. It honestly did. But that's what you have to do sometimes, especially when you're in your lowest points. You need to tell yourself that things are going to be better and that you can improve. Because if you just continue to wallow in your own pity, nothing's going to change. And believe me, I know how easy it is to just continue to tumble downward in a downward spiral. But just as easy it is to go in a downward spiral, you can compound that positive energy and flip it to benefit you. And that's exactly what I decided to do. I was, I guess, lying to myself to a certain extent. And I did this each and every single day. I'd wake up each and every single day. And I know that affirmations, I guess, I don't really necessarily like calling them that, but I guess that's what it is. I don't necessarily like saying that because a lot of people get the idea that, oh, affirmations aren't going to do anything because, and if you just do affirmations alone, believe me, you're not going to get anywhere. You're just going to stay the same. Affirmations and telling yourself that you are better, coupled with action and discipline and consistency, that, my friend, is where you see results. That is where you grow. That is where you become closer to the man that you want to be. By acting and by consciously choosing to believe and truly believing it and feeling it in every single part of your body that you can become this man that you envision yourself as. That's exactly what I did. And that is where I am today. And I am constantly improving each and every single day. And I know that I'm going to be closer to that man that I envision myself as. And I'm substantially closer than I once was. Substantially. And it all is because I showed up for myself. And I truly believe in my words and I trust in my abilities by showing up for myself on the days that I do not want to do it. So this is what you must do, my friend. You must show up for yourself and tell yourself otherwise and destroy any shattering and limiting belief that you have, because you're just paralyzing yourself. You're not growing this way. You're staying stagnant in a world that is constantly moving at 1,000 miles per hour. And how do you expect to keep up? You can't. You can't with all of your limiting beliefs. You can't with all of these ideas that hold you back. There's going to come a day where you need to realize that you are in control of your thoughts, and your thoughts are the most powerful thing that you can ever actually do, coupled with action. So you must decide, when is it going to be the day that you're going to show up for yourself and act. And this is particularly with anything that you've put your own reckoning with, anything that you have had direct control over, any of your circumstances that you can actively change right then and there. And now when it comes to more external circumstances that can really beat you and really put you in a hole that you just genuinely can't control, that is when it is a little bit more challenging. That is when you must coordinate. And that is when you must coordinate differently. So last year, I got out of a 3.5-year relationship. I was 260 pounds. And I had been so accustomed to always having a partner. I had always been in relationships throughout the majority of my life. And this was shortly after Valentine's Day too. And I was so uncomfortable with my own company. And a couple of days later, weeks, I believe it was 20-ish days later, my grandmother passed away. My grandmother passed away after I had gotten out of this relationship. And I was distraught, experiencing that loss and seeing my mom cry over the passing of her own mom. And it brought me to shambles. And I knew that in that moment I had to step up. And this is when I decided to I was starting to make some progress in showing up for myself and showing up for my family, by becoming a better version of myself, a more authentic version of myself, by going to the gym, by eating healthy, by fixing my bad habits. This is what I was actively doing. And then 30 days later, my older brother passed away. And I was lost. I was in a position of confusion, anger, fear, uncertainty, and ambiguity. There were so many different things spiraling through my brain and in my body when I was experiencing all of this loss, especially the loss of my brother. And it sucks. Especially whenever it's something that you can't control. That is something I can't control. I couldn't do anything about it. It was something that came out of nowhere. and I was in a position of weak-mindedness, and I was a bitch. And in the moment, I did not mourn properly. I had to act logically, and I had to show up for my brother's sake. I had to coordinate his funeral. I had to show up and be there for my family and be everybody's rock and make sure that my family was fine. And that's what was most important to me. Because regardless of what I was feeling, I had to make sure that my family was important and that my family was being put straight and that they were good. And I was doing everything that I possibly could to show up for them. I didn't care about myself at the time. I paid no regard to how I was feeling. I knew that I wasn't right in the head, that I was fucked up emotionally, but I decided to not give it any sort of attention and to highlight and put all of my energy towards something that I can actively control, which was having my family be set and be smooth during this tragedy. That's exactly what I did. And I acted this way for weeks, and this is what drove me to the point of change, but it wasn't overnight. I was paralyzed. I was paralyzed in fear. I couldn't sleep at night. There was many nights where I wouldn't sleep, and I would just be up thinking about my brother and thinking about my grandma and thinking about my ex at the time and thinking about all the different things that could have played out and all the different scenarios that could have happened, but that didn't. And I was creating these scenarios in my head as a sense of escapism, but I knew that wasn't beneficial to me whatsoever. So what did I do? I decided to become an individual and truly step into a man that can face hardship head on and make conscious, deliberate decisions to help his family and to help myself, most importantly, so that I can show up 110% authentically as the best version of myself to help others. And that is what you must do whenever you are experiencing some type of loss or hardship or something that is out of your control. You must show up for yourself regardless of the circumstance. Because I easily could have just become addicted to smoking, drinking, pleasure, all of these different vices. I could have just stayed in my room, wallowed in the dark, watching Netflix, binge eating my life away because of what tragedies I faced. But what good was that going to do? Nothing. And especially if you're facing any sort of loss in that regard, something you need to think about is that your loved one lived their life to the fullest. So who are you to not show up for yourself and live your life to the fullest? Who are you to do them a disservice and binge eat? Who are you to not show up authentically each and every single day? Who are you to not live your life to the fullest? You're not that special. You're not. And believe me, your loved ones want you to continue to push through and continue to grow. They don't want you to stagnate. They don't want you to live your life in pity and wallow in fear and sadness. Of course, you're going to feel these emotions, but it's a matter of recognizing them, experiencing them, acknowledging them, and not dwindling on them, and continuing to grow and continuing to move forward and take a step each and every single day. That's all you have to do. Show up for yourself each and every single day. Make yourself proud and make them proud. And I can assure you, you will be in a much better headspace and in a much better position, both mentally, physically, and spiritually, to overcome any and all hardships. I know you can do this. And I'm truly sorry for whatever it is that you are experiencing. But there's going to come a certain point where you're going to need to act up and take accountability for either a circumstance that you did to yourself, or take accountability for your own thoughts and how you're going to act and coordinate your thoughts and decisions to navigate this time of loss if it is an external hardship. That is all you can do, and that is what you should do, especially as a man. You don't have time to sit down and cry. You don't have time to not act. And I'm not saying don't cry. Believe me, I shed so many tears when my brother passed away. But you must recognize that you cannot stay in that position of self-destruction. You need to continue to grow. You need to continue to improve the quality of your life and control the controllables, control what you can control. Go to the gym, brush your teeth, wash your face, make your bed, fold your laundry, clean your room, do the dishes, feed your dogs, water your plants. Show up for yourself and show up for others 110% authentically each and every single day. And I can assure you, you will be in a much better position than you once were, especially when you're going through hardship, especially when you're going through loss, especially when you're navigating some form of negativity. And the sooner that you realize this and the sooner that you start acting accordingly and showing up for yourself and for your loved ones, you'll be set. But you need to believe in yourself, man. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be easy. But any great thing, anything that's worthwhile doing in life is not easy. Anything that is worth doing comes with a sense of difficulty, comes with a challenge. And that is why so many great individuals are great, because they were willing to go through something that most people wouldn't, that most people would happily turn around and walk the other way. So do yourself a favor and show up for yourself each and every single day, the best of your ability. Don't cut yourself short, especially in this time of hardship. Persevere, and I can assure you that everything happens for a reason. And you will come out, whatever it is that you're going through, 1,000 times stronger. I can assure you this. You need to trust yourself and act. Act. Take action. Don't die. Don't let yourself die when you are alive. Continue to live your life and push through. Show up for yourself each and every single day, especially on the days you don't want to. That is when it is most important. And if you don't want to show up for yourself, fine. Show up for your mom. Show up for your dad, your brothers and sisters, your friends, your grandparents. Show up for them if you feel like you just don't have the guts to show up for yourself at first. But at the end of the day, what you must recognize is that what can kill you is your own inaction. Even though you're not dead, your own inaction will paralyze you, will leave you crippled. And before you know it, you will be dead because of your inaction. So act. I believe in you, and you need to believe in yourself. I just want to say thank you for listening, and I'm looking forward to continuing to speak to all of you and make a positive impact in any way, shape, or form. Go ahead and like and subscribe, and if this provided any form of clarity or if this helped you out, go ahead and share it to somebody else that you think would benefit from this. I'm greatly appreciative of your time. You have a great day.